Roberto Blake, I'm so glad you came to Jersey. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Brett. It's always nice to be in Jersey.
Brett is the intellectual grandson of B.F. Skinner.
I started watching, Roberto's channel, and I'm like, man, I really like this guy. I'm like, he stands for the same values that we stand for, just being authentic and genuine, and being himself, which is something we want all you guys to do, hence your niche. So as I started looking at Roberto's channel, I started thinking the things he's teaching about social media, I'm like, it could be reverse engineered and operationally defined into behavioral science. Everything from the way he reinforces the attention of the viewers to the way he creates an EO, what he calls a pain point. Like what we call an establishing operation in behavioral science in marketing, he calls it a pain point. So there's a need all of a sudden where people feel this sense of urgency, and then he creates a solution to it.
Brett's a smart guy, and he's good at what he does. That being said, I also think when I watch the interactions with the group, I see that he's a leader who actually cares about his people and is not guarded the way that I see a lot of other people, that have a professional background or an academic background. A lot of those people are very guarded.
What attracted me to ask you to come in was that authenticity in it by watching your YouTube videos and the fact that you could speak about anything and it was real.
If people want to be more authentic, be more genuine, especially on camera, and they want to improve their presentation style and their charisma, the thing they have to do is they have to step outside themselves, and they have to have conversations that are organic instead of leading to the place that they want. The other thing is, the reason I can be genuine and authentic, or people realize that, is because what you have to understand is that I don't want anything from you. Like, I mean, obviously we all want some end goal or something, and yes, I want people to be clients, or I want them to subscribe to the channel, or I want their feedback on what I'm doing. But if they want to give that, I'm not trying to extract something from people that they don't want to give. Whereas most people, a lot of their tension and anxiety and nervousness is because they're playing a mental chess game. They're overthinking everything. Everything's a tit for tat chess move where, oh, if they do this, or if they say this, I say that. They're constructing scenarios and outcomes in their mind and trying to predict all the probabilities of the future, instead of just laying their cards on the table and accepting what happens and knowing that they have the ability and the wherewithal to adapt and pivot to the situation as it presents itself.
I like being a leader that pulls out each person's individuality, because that's what seems to, produce long-term sustained growth in an employee and maintenance, where they want to stay in an employment setting. So like we were talking about earlier, my goal is to keep figuring out that one little thing that they love to do that may only be 1% of their day, but it's so exciting that it makes the other 99% worth it.
Anything that I do for you or for any of these guys here, that if I give you something that from an editing standpoint shaves off like 4 hours out of an 8-hour day to make you literally twice as efficient.
You created time.
I created time. And then whatever you would gain from the output literally doubled. Or it could be exponential because your processors are fine. And then if that's the baseline of that refinement, it can only get better. It can only get better. I went to daily content on YouTube, not because I thought, oh, well, this will for sure tweak me in the algorithm. I went to daily content on YouTube to be a more efficient editor than anybody else. I went there to understand the pain and anxiety point of a consistent stream of content production, because it would force me. It would force me to evolve to a level of efficiency that would be so ridiculous.
You created a fixed interval. Here's the science behind it. You created a fixed interval schedule that is frequent, because what happens is that you created deadlines every single day for yourself, self-imposed ones that created high levels of performance. So what happens is, so for me to get employee responding, I can't create one deadline at the end of the year, because what happens is performance, people procrastinate, and then they have high levels of responding. It shows in animals, it shows in human beings, every organism, they wait, and then there's high level. So, but if I create very frequent one every single day, my peak performance is steady and high because I meet the deadline and I have high rates of active responding. So what you did is you artificially created a reason for you to work your ass off and and post frequently. So what I have to do regularly is create artificial deadlines for people so they have steady rates of responding and they're consistent.
You're going to win because of that, because it's like, again, for me, it was a life-saving philosophy, and then two, it's a mandate for success because my check in the box every day is, did I create something awesome, i.e. did I create something of value? I have a mandate every day that whether it's posting an Instagram, whether it's posting a YouTube video, whether it's doing my podcast, whether it's writing an article, whether it's sending out the most amazing tweet of all time, like, I have a mandate to create something awesome. And what is something awesome? Something of value, something that I think is of value, something that I think is objectively good, or something that I think resonates or has meaning to some other human being that can improve something in their life, or something that, again, is personally satisfying to me artistically. The best advice, I think, is grounded in this concept that the person that I was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 12 years ago, 18 years ago, it's still there, but I don't recognize that person when I look in the mirror past a certain point, because the gap in the difference of the experience defines me, and the gap in the difference of my actions from my past relative to today, it's a widely different person. So to judge yourself or to let other people judge and define you by your past, I'm not saying forsake it entirely, but I'm saying understand that you are in fact a very different person than you were just a few years ago. Hey!
Nice. Love it.
What'd you get? Figure it out. All right. So, let's give this a good spin.
Yeah, good. That's a real spin.
That's a spin. And it pans out. 350. Big money.